We are so pleased to be here today with Sue Wylie. She is a legend in Lexington media, radio and television. And Sue, we just surprised her with the news.
I would say. I have the Kleenex to prove it.
She is going to be inducted into the Gold Circle at the Ohio Valley Regional Emmy Awards this summer. It's quite a prestigious honor. Nick Clooney is one of the big names that a lot of people around here would recognize being in that group. And we are so pleased, Sue, that you're going to be honored in this way.
Well, I am so honored. Honored is the word, and so surprised and so grateful. So.
Well, and so deserving. This award is for 50 years of accomplishments in the Ohio Valley region. Now that's Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and Kentucky. Wow. This isn't just Kentucky or even Lexington. You are an outstanding representative of television in this entire region, to me, in the entire country.
Oh, well, that's so sweet of you, Nancy. And of course, it's so wonderful to see you and so many women in television now. I mean, there was a time when it was a very lonely world. There was all men in the newsroom and so forth. So we've seen some wonderful, wonderful changes over the years.
You forced those changes in many ways. And Sue, I want you to tell me about that first job in television and a little bit about your history, how you kind of kept tugging the sleeves of the old boy network and saying, I want in.
Well, broadcasting was my chosen career. I studied it in college, but at that time, women, you could be on television if you were a woman, but you couldn't really be in television. You couldn't be a producer or a director or a videographer or anything. You could be on television. So I started out doing commercials, of course, and hostessing midday movies and, the cut-ins. We'll get back to the movie in a minute, but first I want to tell you about this Kelvinator refrigerator, that kind of thing. And, there really were no women in any positions in production. And, but what happened was I went to Miami when NBC opened its television affiliate there, and a little baby was abandoned. Oh, no, I started doing because on the noon show, the midday show. I started because women were at home back then. Most of them, women did not work so much. And there was a weatherman, there were 2 male anchors, and then they thought they needed a woman's touch. So they got me to come in and do something on flowers or childcare or recipes or makeup, something like that. But then a little newborn baby was found abandoned in a garbage can outside a major hospital there. And the news director said, babies? Oh, women know about babies. So he put me on the story. Well, it turned out to be a really hard news story. You know, who was this little boy? The mother was a teenager on drugs. We got into the teenage drug problem. It became a big, big story, went on. And before I knew it, I was the first woman to do hard news in the state of Florida. Wow. Not just recipes and makeup. And so from there, but when I moved to Lexington, I married a man from here. That's why I came from Miami. And I went to the NBC affiliate right away, and I said, this is what I do in Miami. And they said, well, good. Well, we'll start a noon show here. Yeah. But you'll have to produce it. I said, okay, great. And we had, at that time, the newsroom was much smaller, not like Channel 18's newsroom today. But I was the only woman in there. And our news director at that time was a very traditional fellow. He had never worked with women in television before. Wow. And I remember one day he called me into his office, and he said to me, did you see that woman who was in the newsroom? I said, yes. He said, you know what she wanted? I said, what? He said, she wanted a job. And I said, well, so what? He said, I said, what did you tell her? He said, I told her we already had one, meaning a woman. Oh, he had one woman he wasn't going to put up with anymore.
Oh, my. And I hope a lot of young women in television will click on this and listen to this. You don't realize how things have changed so much. We teased a little earlier. Sue said, I've never cried on TV before, but someone else said, well, you've made a lot of other people cry. Tell me about some of those more interesting interviews you did and some of the news you broke.
Well, yes, we started doing a political show when the urban county government merged, the city and county governments, and it was a whole new form of government for Lexington, and I said, we've got to cover this. I said, I'll come in on a Sunday and do a show. I'll get someone from urban council, or I'll get the mayor. And that grew into Your Government, which became, then we had state guests and national guests. We had governors, we had presidential candidates, and so forth. And because I was a woman, see, that wouldn't happen now. But because I asked tough questions, oh, that bitch, they'd say. I mean, now, heavens, you turn on television, every anchor on Fox is a woman asking tough questions. But back then it was considered, women just didn't do tough journalism. But, the show grew and grew, and yes, we had a wonderful time. I think we helped, I helped some candidates, it got to be, the show had a very tough reputation.
Yes, it did.
It did. And I was very proud of it. I think of probably all the things I did at the years at Channel 18, Your Government was,
One of the first things I did at Channel 18 was to sit in on the tapings of Your Government because something always newsworthy came out of it. And that was so true. I'd turn around and we'd lead with a story that Sue broke on the air. Who's your favorite guest you may have had on there? Or most interesting, however you want to put it.
Let me think. People ask me that a lot, and they were interesting because of what was going on at the moment.
True.
Oh, we had on one day during a presidential race, we had on 3 presidential candidates.
You're kidding.
I remember we had George Wallace, we had Ronald Reagan, and we had I forget the third one that day. Oh, and we had Jimmy Carter.
Wow.
Yeah, and of course our old Channel 18, you were there.
Oh, yes.
It was built in the 50s, and it was built in the 50s, and it was just a little dump. Now you're a big, beautiful facility now, of course, that you're so proud of and should be. But Ronald Reagan was coming, and we were very lucky. I had to talk because he was expected to be the next president of the United States, and we had the makeup man, his makeup man, called from California. Said, now, the governor, you do have a green room where you can rest before the show. A green room, And I didn't realize that there would be busloads of national press following it. I mean, busloads. So anyway, and he said, and you do have a makeup man or makeup person. Of course, we didn't. We had a dirty old powder puff, had a box of Pond's face powder. Anyway, and our men's room was a disgrace. Yes. It was a disgrace. And I went to our president and I said, we are going to have probably the next president of the United States here tomorrow. I cannot send him into that men's room. What are we going to do? So John Duvall, our president at the time, he thought a minute. He said, well, there's only one thing to do. We went out and we changed the signs. We took the men's room sign and put it on the women's room, changed them around. And I've told this story many times, and there was a little green couch in there, little vinyl couch. So
a full-length mirror even.
But to this day, I'm sure later President Reagan wondered why there was a Kotex machine in the men's room.
He probably told that story himself a few times, Sue. Well, we can't wait to be there in person, to see you honored. You're so deserving. I can't wait to see what you'll wear. I mean, you've always been a fashion icon, just
look
beautiful.
Who's talking. It's Kentucky here.
Oh, but we really can't wait.
Well, it's again, I'm just overcome. I really am.
And you're doing this interview on the spot, and that's not fair, I know. But I would ask you, is there anyone you just want to say a thanks to, or even, haha, I told you I was going to make it?
There are so many people to thank. Our late Harry Barfield, who hired me. blindly. I mean, my audition consisted of going in the studio, and he said, just go in the studio, we'll turn a camera on, and just talk. Talk about anything. And I did. I made up some news story, you know, and that was it. He said, okay, we'll start a noon show, just like that. Wow. And I said Mike Taylor, our assignment editor, many years. I mean, it was a wonderful, you know, we all leaned on Mike every day of our lives for story ideas, and he was always so accommodating and helping us with any idea we had. So many people, Nancy. Yeah.
And I know you've touched so many, because I still hear from people who want to tell Sue stories or ask how you're doing and all that. And I want to let you know, right before we surprised you here today, I did share this news on WVLK Radio.
Oh, you did?
I did.
And I listen to you on every week.
Oh,
You're on twice a week. Yeah. Today I didn't listen.
I know, good thing. And I know your radio family told me to tell you congratulations. Everyone at Channel 18. Just wish you the best, and we love you. We miss you, and you've had an impact on our professional lives and on our personal lives. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for clicking on this LEX 18 Digital Conversation with Sue Wylie.